Good morning, my dear students. Today, we are going to know about the inner ear. Previous lecturers have told you about the external ear and middle ear. Once again, I will tell you, this is the external ear, this is the external ear, this is the middle ear, this is the middle ear containing the ossicles, Meles, incus, stapes. This is the middle ear. This is the tympanic membrane. Now, this is the internal ear or inner ear. So, this green color cochlea, central part vestibule, and the blue color cochlea, green color semicircular canals, and the central part vestibule. This constitutes the internal ear. This internal ear is otherwise called as labyrinth. This internal ear or inner ear is otherwise called as labyrinth. So, external ear, middle ear, where I put the cursor, this is the inner ear. So, this inner ear is present in the petrous part of the temporal bone. So, this is the bone. This is the entire one is bone. This entire one is the bone. This is the petrous part of the temporal bone. This is the bone. This is the bone. So, this is the bone. So, this is the bone. So, this is present in the petrous part of the temporal bone. This is petrous part of the temporal bone. So, ear, inner ear is present in the petrous part of the temporal bone. It is present in the petrous part of the temporal bone. It consists of anterior cochlea, middle vestibule, and posterior semicircular canals. Anterior cochlea, middle vestibule, and posterior semicircular canals. So, now I am telling you how it is present in the textbook in this manner. I am telling you. Anteriorly, cochlea, middle part vestibule, and posteriorly semicircular canal. The diagram is given in your textbook like this only. So, you are also anteriorly cochlea, middle part vestibule, posteriorly semicircular canal in your standard textbooks. That is, so this is present. So, here it is present in this way, but in your standard textbooks, anteriorly cochlea is present, middle part vestibule is present, posteriorly semicircular canals are represented. So, this inner ear is otherwise called as labyrinth. Inner ear is otherwise called as labyrinth. Inner ear is otherwise called as labyrinth. So, external ear, middle ear, inner ear. Inner ear is otherwise called as labyrinth. So, it consists of, it is present in the bony part. So, this is the bony part. So, it is present in the bony part of the petrous part of the temporal bone. This one is also a bony part. So, cochlear ring, vestibule, semicircular canals are also the bony parts. So, inside the bony part of this entire structure, that means cochlea, vestibule, and semicircular canals. Inside the bony part of this entire one, there is, that is called membranous labyrinth. So, the inner ear is otherwise divided into outer bony labyrinth. Inner ear is otherwise called as labyrinth. So, outer bony labyrinth, inner membranous labyrinth. In between these two, outer bony labyrinth and inner membranous labyrinth, there is perilymph. So, inner ear is otherwise called as labyrinth. Outer part is bony, and inside the bony part is membranous labyrinth is present. So, these two are separated by perilymph. These two are separated by perilymph. So, anteriorly cochlea, central part vestibule, posteriorly semicircular canal. So, that order is given in your standard textbook. Now, for your convenience, so I had collectively giving external ear, middle ear, and inner ear. Now I am going, this PowerPoint consists of external ear, middle ear, inner ear. You can go through all these three parts of the ear at a time to have a clear-cut idea. That's why I am giving you this PowerPoint. So external ear, middle ear, and inner ear. Actually, now our class is inner ear. How the sound waves goes? This is represented. So this is the ear, external ear, pinna. This goes and touches this tympanic membrane. The touches this one. So malleus, incus, and stapes. And again, this touches the vestibule. This is fenestra vestibule. So how this sound wave goes through this one and touches this one and goes like this and goes through the last one, malleus, incus, stapes, and the stapes touches the lateral wall of the vestibule. So all that sound vibrations goes in that order. So here to here, touching the tympanic membrane. So this is touching the malleus, then going through the incus, then going through the stapes. This is the footplate of the stapes, touches the lateral wall of the vestibule. This is the semicircular canals. This is the vestibule. This is the cochlea. Rounded part is cochlea. A turning part is cochlea. That is the reason how the sound wave goes through it. This is the cochlear nerve. This is the cochlear nerve. This is the eighth nerve, vestibular cochlear nerve. So vestibule, cochlea. This is the cochlea. So this is vestibular cochlear nerve. So you see, this is a colorful diagram. How the inner ear is there. How the inner ear is present in the petrous part of the temporal bone. This is entire one is petrous part of the temporal bone. This is petrous part of the temporal bone. This is petrous part of the temporal bone. So this is a semicircular canal producing an elevation of the petrous part of the temporal bone. So this is arcade eminence. This is represented by one semicircular canal. This is posterior semicircular canal representing an eminence on the petrous part of the temporal bone, that is arcade eminence. So how this is present in this morning part? This is a beautiful diagram, black and white. Now actual class of inner ear or lab is starting. So this is the once again a colorful diagram. Cochlea, vestibule, and semicircular canals. Three semicircular canals. So this is the vestibular nerve. This is the cochlear nerve. So this is the cochlea, a rounded part. So a rounded circle that is called cochlea. Two or three turns. This is cochlea. This is the vestibule. So this is the vestibular nerve. This is the cochlear nerve. Both unites to form the vestibular cochlear nerve. That is called eighth nerve. Vestibulocochlear nerve is the eighth nerve. Seventh nerve is the facial nerve. Internal ear lies in the petrous part of the temporal bone. It consists of bony labyrinth. Perilimb separates the membranous labyrinth. I already told you a bony labyrinth is present outside. Bony labyrinth. So internal ear is otherwise called as labyrinth. So outer part is bony labyrinth. Inside the bony labyrinth, membranous labyrinth is there. In between these two, endolymph is there. In between these two, perilymph is there. So within the membranous labyrinth is filled with endolymph. So between the bony labyrinth and membranous labyrinth, perilymph is there. So within the membranous labyrinth, endolymph is there. You have to differentiate. Perilymph means present below the bony labyrinth, above the membranous labyrinth. That means in between the bony labyrinth and the membranous labyrinth. So membranous labyrinth, within the membranous labyrinth, that is filled with endolymph. That is filled with endolymph. So bony labyrinth consists of cochlea anteriorly, vestibule middle, semicircular canals posteriorly. So this is a standard classification given in all of your textbooks. I have shown you which is semicircular canals, which is vestibule, which is cochlea. Cochlea is a rounded one, turns, 2 to 3 turns. So vestibule is the middle part. Semicircular canals, there are 3 semicircular canals: anterior, posterior, lateral. Anterior, superior, posterior, lateral. These 3 semicircular canals is present in the, so it consists of cochlea anteriorly, vestibule middle, semicircular canals posterior. Once again, I am showing you. This is the cochlea, this is the vestibule, this is the semicircular canals. So this is the cochlea, this is the vestibule, this is the semicircular canals. So these 3 parts constitute the internal ear. Now this is the cochlea, this is the vestibule, this is the semicircular, one semicircular canal, another semicircular canal. This is posterior canal. This is superior canal, is otherwise called as anterior canal. This is posterior canal. This is lateral canal. This is lateral canal. This is vestibular fenestrae. At this point only, the foot plate of the stapes touches at this region. So I will show you. So this is the foot plate of, this is the medius, this is the incus, this is the stapes. So this is the foot plate of the stapes, touches the fenestra. That opening where I have pointed it, this is the that opening. So here it touches. So that is the where I have pointed cursor. Now the cochlea is nothing but a rounded turns, 2 to 3 runs. So this is the center point, this is the pointed one, this is called modiolus. So where I put cursor, that is called modiolus. That is called modiolus. So apex of the cochlea, a turned apex or turned part, cochlea is a turning, is nothing but turnings. So the central part of the apex or the most prominent part, that is called modiola. That is called modius. Sometimes it says modiola. Cochlea resembles shell of a snail. Central axis modiolus. Its apex is known as copula. Its apex is known as copula. Spiral ridge of bone, spiral lamina, projects from modiolus. Spiral lamina projects from modiolus. It divides the cochlear canal into scala vestibuli above and scala tympani below. Division is completed by basilar membrane. They communicate at the apex of the cochlea by helicotrema. Cochlea is nothing but a turning. Turns like a snail. Central axis modiolus. Its apex is known as copula. Spiral bridge of bone, spiral lamina projects from modiolus. I will show you. This is the most prominent part of the cochlea, copula. Now this is the spiral lamina. How it is dividing the cochlea? This is the cochlear tube. This is another cochlear tube. So this part, spiral lamina, divides the cochlear tube into above part scala vestibuli and below part scala tympani. So this is above part scala vestibuli and below part scala tympani. So this is the copula, most prominent part of the turning turns of the cochlea. So this is a spiral lamina dividing it into above part scala vestibuli and below part scala tympani. So this division is completed by means of basilar membrane. This division is completed by, so cochlea is nothing but a rounded one, 2 to 3 runs. Its most central part is called as modiolus. So the most prominent part of the apex of the modiolus is called as copula. So the cochlear canal is divided by a spiral lamina into above part scala vestibuli and below part scala tympani. So the scala vestibuli and scala tympani are connected with each other at the top where I have pointed a cursor. So that is called helicotrema. That is called helicotrema. So the above part scala vestibuli and below part scala tympani. So the cochlear turning is divided by spiral lamina, that is starting from the apex of the cochlea, spiral turnings. So divides into above part scala vestibuli and below part scala tympani. Both are continuous with each other at the top level by helicotrema. By helicotrema. By helicotrema. That is the reason. So I have told you. Now this is a horizontal section through the modiolus showing cochlear canal and its subdivisions. It is taken from the standard test. Now I have told you about the cochlea. Cochlea is nothing but 2 to 3 turning rods. So the most prominent part and raised part at the center of the cochlear turning is called as modiolus. Apex is called as modiolus. The most prominent part of the modiolus is cupula. So the cochlear canal is divided by a spiral lamina starting from the apex of the turning of the cochlea. Into upper part above the spiral lamina is scala vestibuli, below part scala tympani. Scala vestibuli and scala tympani are continuous with each other at the top level of the turnings of the cochlea by helicotrema. Now I have completed the cochlea. So inner ear is otherwise called as labyrinth. It consists of anterior part, cochlea, central part vestibule, posterior part semicircular canals. The anterior part cochlea is nothing but 2 to 3 runs. So the apex of the cochlear turning is called modiolus. The most prominent part of the modiolus is the cupula. The cochlear turning is divided by a spiral lamina starting from the apex of the cochlear turning into above the spiral lamina is scala vestibuli, below is scala tympani. So scala vestibuli and scala tympani are continuous with each other at the most prominent part of the cupula, that is called helicotrema. Helicotrema. Inner ear is otherwise called as labyrinth. Anterior part cochlea, central part vestibule, posterior part semicircular canal. So the inner ear itself, outer part, bony part, that is bony labyrinth, because inner ear is otherwise called as labyrinth. So bony labyrinth. Inside the bony labyrinth, there is membranous labyrinth. In between the bony labyrinth and the membranous labyrinth, perilymph is there. So within the bony labyrinth itself, inside the bony membranous labyrinth, inside the membranous labyrinth is endolymph. Endolymph is present within the membranous labyrinth. Perilymph is present between the membranous labyrinth and the endolymph. Membranous labyrinth, bony labyrinth and the membranous labyrinth. In between the bony labyrinth, outer bony labyrinth and inner membranous labyrinth. In between the outer bony labyrinth and inner membranous labyrinth is the perilymph. Within the cavity of the membranous labyrinth is the endolymph. Within the cavity of the membranous labyrinth is the endolymph. Now vestibule, the central part, lies medial to the middle ear cavity. Lateral wall opens into the middle ear by peristral vestibuli. Peristral vestibuli. So this peristral vestibuli is touched by the foot plate of the stapes. I already told you, showed you where the peristral vestibuli. So this is vestibular fenestra. So foot plate of the stapes touches this one. So this is the foot plate of the stapes touches the here this one. Where I have put the cursor. This is the foot plate of the stapes touching the vestibular. So sound waves are coming from here, touching the tympanic membrane, then meriasis, then incus, then stapes, foot plate of the stapes. So opening the lateral wall of the vestibule. So and vibrations enter into the vestibule. So it goes into the membranous labyrinth. Endolymph present in the membranous labyrinth, and endolymph is vibrated, various vibrations like that. So the cells present in the cochlea, will be stimulated, and again vestibule is stimulated, cochlea is stimulated. So impulses goes through the cochlear nerve and impulses goes to the vestibular nerve. That is the mechanism, gross mechanism, hearing mechanism of the sound waves. So hearing mechanism of sound waves, audition. This is called as audition. So ear can be damaged at any part. So hearing capacity or sensation of hearing can be damaged at any level. This level, tympanic membrane level, media, synca, stapes, and this level. At any level it can cause. Can be caused by at any level. By Fenestra vestibular. 3 semicircular canals open at the posterior wall. 3 semicircular canals open at the posterior wall. Chusara, I will show you how the 3 semicircular canals open. This is one semicircular canal, superior or anterior. Posterior semicircular canal, lateral semicircular canal. So this is the vestibule. Cochlea is the anterior part of the vestibule. So it opens. So into the vestibule, cochlea opens like this. So 1, 2, 3 semicircular canals open into the posterior part of the vestibule. So you see, this is one opening, one opening, one opening, one opening. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the one part of the superior semicircular canal and one part of the posterior semicircular canal unites to form a common crest. Unites to form a common crest. So the lateral canal opens here by one opening, and this part of the lateral canal opens by another opening. So 2. So 2. This one 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 openings. There are 6, and because this one and this one is united, forming a single opening. So 3 semicircular canals has to open into the posterior wall of the vestibule by 6 openings, because it is a semicircular canal. So 6 openings. But this canal of the semicircular canal, superior and posterior, anterior and posterior, both are united to form a common crest. That opens by 1. So 5 openings is there. So all the 3 semicircular canals opens in the posterior part of the vestibule by means of 5 openings. Because this one and this one unites to form a common one. Medial is related to internal acoustic meatus. Medially, it is related to internal acoustic meatus. It presents spherical races, elliptical races, vestibular ridge, cochlear races. Now, the wall of the vestibule, I will show you. So, this is the wall of the vestibule. This is the wall of the vestibule. This is lateral semicircular canal, superior or anterior, posterior semicircular canal. Now, the wall of the vestibule contains in elliptical races and races sphericales. So, posteriorly elliptical races, anteriorly races sphericales, anteriorly races sphericales. So, in between these two, a crest comes and divides and opens into the cochlear races. So, this is the fossa cochlearis and this is the cochlear fenestra. So, this is called a races. What is a races? Races is nothing but an extension of cavity into a blind cavity. Opening means thorough communication. From one part to another part, a communication is there, that is called opening. Races means a blind opening, that is called races. So, extension of cavity into a blind races, into a blind opening is called races. Yeah, I think that I have given you a classification of races. So, the races are present not only here, they are also present in the abdomen. You can have the pelvic races, you can have the peritoneal races, so you can have the races. So, I think that you might have recollected your previous classes of anatomy abdomen. Now, spherical races, elliptical races, vestibular ridge, cochlear races. Below the elliptical races, opening of diverticulum is there. The aqueduct of vestibule opens to the fissure, contains ductus endolymphaticus and a vein. Below the, I already told you, below the elliptical races, opening of diverticulum is there. Aqueduct of vestibule opens into fissure, contains ductus endolymphaticus. So it presents spherical races. I have shown you the spherical races. I have shown you the elliptical races. I have shown the vestibular ridge and cochlear races. So all these races are present in the diagram given in the standard textbook. Chaurasia or Vishram Singh. So if you see the textbook of Chaurasia or vestibular or Vishram Singh, you can see the diagram of inner ear very well. So all the races are, they are line diagrams. So a line diagram is present in the standard textbook, so you can easily assess it. So below the elliptical races, opening of diverticulum, aqueduct of vestibule opens into a fissure, contains ductus endolymphaticus and a vein. Ductus endolymphaticus. If you go through the Chaurasia textbook, page number 294 of the third volume, you can see the diagram of inner ear. So you can have the diagram, so line diagram. So this is not a line diagram. This is not a line diagram. So, but you can see the line diagram. This is races ellipticus. This is fossa cochlearis. This is cochlear fenestra. Now this is the spherical races. Spherical races. So in the wall of the vestibule, if in the wall of the vestibule, all these are present. Now you see how the cochlea is divided by spiral lamina into scala vestibular above and scala tympani below. So this is nothing but a spiral lamina. This is nothing but spiral lamina. Where I am turning my cursor, that is spiral lamina. Above scala vestibular, below scala tympani. You see, a light color difference is given because it is a light color. It is a little dark and a depth in position also. So he has given this diagram. So this is the diagram. Now the three semicircular canals open into the posterior part of the vestibule. So the semicircular canals, anterior, posterior, lateral, before opening into the posterior wall of the vestibule, becomes a little dilated. Thus, dilatation is called ampulla. So, this is the ampulla. These three semicircular canals, anterior or superior, posterior or inferior, and lateral one, these three opens into the vestibule. Before they open, so the terminal ends are a little dilated. That is called ampulla. Now, if you see the diagram, the position of this one, this is at right angles to the vestibule. This is parallel and parallel to the vestibule. You see, this is how the posterior one is in direction. So, this is the vestibule. So, this one is parallel to the vestibule. So, this is the vestibule. So, the position of posterior semicircular canal is parallel to the axis of the vestibule, whereas the superior is at right angles to the axis of the vestibule. Lateral is at perpendicular to the vestibule. So, the three semicircular canals are at different angles to the vestibule, axis of the vestibule. If you draw an axis, that means this is a central axis. You draw a line along the vestibule. So, this is at right angles to this one. This is parallel to this one. This is perpendicular to this one. So, the position of the semicircular canals, I already told you. So, the position of the semicircular canals, already I told you. Each canal is of two-thirds of a circle, dilated at one end to form ampulla. Three canals open into the vestibule by 5 openings. All canals are set at right angles to each other. So, all canals are set at right angles to each other. You see, this one, and this one are at right angles. This one is at right angle. This one is at right angles to this one and this one. So not to the vestibule. So the three semicircular canals are arranged at right angles to each other and opens into the posterior wall of the vestibule. So you say superior is at right angles to the vestibule. This is perpendicular to the axis of the vestibule. This is in line with the axis of the vestibule. This is perpendicular to the axis of the vestibule. Whereas the anterior and posterior and lateral one are at right angles to each other. So these three semicircular canals are at right angles to each other. So here I told you what is the position, how they are at right angles to the vestibule, how they are at right angles to each other. So the actual position of semicircular canals. Now this is the three semicircular canals: lateral, anterior or superior, and posterior semicircular canals. So this is the cochlea. Membranous labyrinth, a closed cavity filled by endolymph that is present inside the bony labyrinth, because inner ear is otherwise called as labyrinth, outer bony labyrinth, inner membranous labyrinth. Membranous labyrinth itself is a closed cavity containing endolymph filled by endolymph. So the epithelium of the membranous labyrinth has specialized to form receptors for sound, organ of Carpi, for static balance, macula, for kinetic balance, crista. So organ of Carpi, macula, for kinetic balance, crista. So these three types of epithelium are specialized to form. So the membranous labyrinth is a closed cavity. It contains endolymph. So it is lined by epithelium. The epithelium present in the membranous labyrinth is specialized to form receptors for sound, organ of Carpi, for static balance, macula, for kinetic balance, crista. So all type of balances associated with sound are completed by the membranous labyrinth. This is produced by epithelium. Specialized epithelium present in the membranous labyrinth. Specialized epithelium is present in the membranous labyrinth. That is, receptors for sound is there. Just from the specialized epithelium modified. So epithelium that acts as a receptors for organ of Carpi. Macula, it is a part of specialized epithelium present in the membranous labyrinth. That is for static balance. Cristae, it is also a specialized form of epithelium present in the membranous labyrinth. That is for kinetic balance. So membranous labyrinth consists of spiral duct of cochlea. Membranous labyrinth consists of spiral duct of cochlea anteriorly. Utricle and saccule. Utricle saccule, organ of static balance within vestibule. Semicircular duct posterior. Because the bony labyrinth itself consists of anteriorly cochlea, central part vestibule, posteriorly semicircular canal. Within the bony labyrinth, membranous labyrinth is there. So within the cochlea, spiral duct of cochlea is present. That is anteriorly. Because cochlea is a turn, is a 2 to 3 turns, like a, so they are present anteriorly. So the vestibule is again divided inside of the vestibule, bony labyrinth of the vestibule, that is membranous labyrinth of the vestibule, is divided into utricle and saccule, that is for organ of static balance, and semicircular ducts posteriorly, and semicircular ducts posteriorly. Once again, I am telling you, inner ear is otherwise called as labyrinth. So it is bony labyrinth outer part, inner part is membranous labyrinth. So bony labyrinth anteriorly cochlea, centrally vestibule, posteriorly semicircular. Because within the bony labyrinth, membranous labyrinth is there. Membranous labyrinth within the cochlea, spiral duct of cochlea, organ of hearing anteriorly. So vestibule, organ of static balance, they contain membranous labyrinth, utricle and saccule are within the vestibule, and semicircular ducts present in the semicircular canals, that is posteriorly. Once again, anteriorly cochlea, central part vestibule, posteriorly semicircular canal. So outer part is bony labyrinth, inner part is membranous labyrinth. Again, membranous labyrinth consists of spiral duct of cochlea anteriorly, utricle and saccule, organ of static balance within vestibule, semicircular ducts posteriorly. Semicircular duct posteriorly. Now this is the inside of the bony labyrinth. Again, the same appearance. The same appearance. The vestibule, utricle, saccule. This is present antero-superiorly, postero-superiorly. This is antero-inferiorly. Saccule is present, cochlea is present anteriorly. So the ductus cochlearis is inside, that is membranous labyrinth. So cochlea is anteriorly, that is called ductus cochlearis. So vestibule, within the vestibule, utricle and saccule is there. These two are united at the lower end, and lower end is, so this is called ductus endolymphaticus. The terminal part of the ductus endolymphaticus is dilated. The terminal part of it is dilated. Now 5 openings. 1 opening, second opening, third opening, fourth opening, and fifth opening. Because I already told you 3 semicircular canals is there, they have to open into the posterior wall of the vestibule by 6 openings, but 5 openings because this one and this one are united. So this one is 1 opening, this one is 1 opening, 2, this is one opening. So this one is, this one's opening is this one. So 4th opening, 5th opening. There are 5 openings. So vestibule. So central part, inner side of the vestibule, that is membranous labyrinth of the vestibule, is again divided into utricle postero superiorly. So saccule antero inferiorly, both are united by means of ductus endolymphaticus. The lower part of the ductus endolymphaticus is dilated. Now the ductus cochlea. So cochlea is a term. So inside the bony part of the cochlea is ductus cochlearis. The ductus cochlearis connects to the vestibule, that is saccule part, by means of canalis reunions. Now this is again a communication between the saccule and the utricle. So these 3 semicircular canals opens into the posterior wall of the vestibule, that is membranous labyrinth. So utricle is the part in which the semicircular canals of the membranous labyrinth open. Because externally cochlea, central part vestibule, posteriorly semicircular canals. So inside cochlea, ductus cochlearis, that is membranous labyrinth of the cochlea. So vestibule, membranous labyrinth of the vestibule is divided into utricle postero superiorly, saccule antero inferiorly. So the 3 semicircular canals. So inside the semicircular canals is semicircular ducts. They open by means of 5. So this is nothing but a continuation now of the membranous labyrinth. So continuation of the membranous labyrinth. So this is the reason. So again, I am telling you, spiral duct of cochlea, organ of hearing anteriorly, utricle and saccule, organ of static balance within vestibule. Semicircular ducts, they are present posteriorly. Now, if you take the section of a cochlear duct, you take the section of a cochlear duct, you will find scala vestibuli above and scala tympani below. Both are separation is completed by basilar membrane. Separation is completed by the basilar membrane. If you take the section of a cochlear duct, that is the unit, final unit of hearing that contains endothelial cells, specialized epithelial cells present in the organ of Corti. That is the end organ of hearing. That is end organ of hearing. The epithelial cells contains hairs. Now the cut section of the cochlear duct. So the cut section of the cochlear duct, above scala vestibuli, below scala tympani, basilar membrane is there. Roof is there, that is a roof membrane is also there. So between the roof membrane and the basilar membrane is an epithelialized cells, and they are modified to form the receptors. Sound vibrations such as this, and endolymph present in the membranous labyrinth is vibrated, and various stimulations are produced and reaches the vestibular nerve and cochlear nerve. Ultimately, the vestibular part of the cochlear nerve, the 8th nerve, and the cochlear part of the 8th nerve unites to form a common nerve, vestibulocochlear nerve. Blood supply of the labyrinth. Labyrinthine branch of the basilar artery, stylomastoid branch of the posterior auricular artery. Veins. Labyrinthine veins drain into superior pectoral sinus or transverse sinus, other veins to superior and inferior petrosal sinus and internal jugular veins. So blood supply, labyrinthine branch in the basilar artery, stylomastid branch of posterior auricular artery, two arteries. Means labyrinthine means drain into superior petrosal sinus or transverse sinus, other veins to superior and inferior petrosal sinus and internal jugular veins. Now this is the unit. So inside the, already I told you, this is scala vestibuli, this is scala tympani. So this is the basilar membrane or membrana tectoria. If you take the section of a cochlear duct, membrana tectoria, that is roofed by membrane of Reissner's. That is roofed. So this is the section of a unit of hearing. So vibrations produced reached this. So endolymph is vibrated and it touches the epithelial cells, organ of Carpi, and vibrations are produced and electrical stimulations go through these nerves to the central nervous system. So this is section of a cochlear duct. This is vestibular membrane. This is the basilar membrane. This is the basilar membrane. This is the basilar membrane. This is the vestibular membrane. So these are the epithelial cells. These are the epithelial cells. So this is the scala vestibuli. This is scala tympani. You see scala vestibuli and scala tympani. So if you take the section of a cochlear duct, that is end organ of hearing, unit of hearing, that is end organ of hearing. So you see the cochlear duct. Once again, you see, you take section of this cochlear duct here. No, here. You take section of the cochlear duct here. This is the, you take section of this cochlear duct here. You will find like this. You will find like this. Here is the diagram. So this is the diagram. Now again, I am going to the clinical anatomy. So the endolymph is produced in the cochlear duct. Endolymph is present in the membranous labyrinth. It is also present in the cochlear ducts. Now the endolymph is produced by the melanocytes. If there is any deficiency of melanocyte production, for example, albinism, some people are very white in color. Now, in such conditions, endolymph production is deficient and hearing defects are present in albinism patients. Albinism means a white color because of pigmentation of the skin is deficient. Melanocytes are not present in sufficient quantity. So the endolymph present in the cochlear ducts or membranous labyrinth is, so melanocytes are responsible for production of endolymph. So if the melanocytes are defectively sensitized, so endolymph is not produced. So in albinism patients, so white colored people, so the deafness is there. Now acoustic neuroma is a nerve of eighth nerve. Acoustic neuroma is a nerve of eighth nerve. Is a tumor, Schwann cell neuroma of the eighth nerve. It can compress the seventh nerve or facial nerve. It can compress the seventh nerve. In such conditions, the seventh nerve symptoms and the eighth nerve symptoms are produced in an individual. So, acoustic neuroma, Schwann cell neuroma is a neuroma of the Schwann cells. So, seventh nerve and eighth nerve both are compressed. So, in auditory problems, so if it is due to acoustic neuroma, both seventh nerve and eighth nerve are damaged, compressed. So the symptoms of seventh nerve damage and symptoms of eighth nerve damage both will occur in acoustic neuroma. And another thing that you will find, earache. Earache, most common thing. Very majority of the patients comes to you with pain in the ear. So the ear ache has got a wide variety of origin. It can come from tongue, anterior 2/3 of the tongue and posterior 1/3 of the tongue. It can come from tonsil. For example, if it is involved of tonsil, so a glossopharyngeal nerve may be involved. If it is from teeth ache or a teeth extraction or abscess in the teeth or in the mandible region or temporomandibular joint, TM joint, in such conditions, mandibular nerve is there, is affected. So, earache can occur. So, that is due to mandibular. In some conditions, vagus nerve and facial nerve can also involve. So the ear ache, pain in the ear is not a simple procedure. It has got a wide variety of involvement. So, you can involve. You have to verify due to what cause the patient is complaining continuous pain in the ear. So, it may be a simple wax present in the ear. You see the external examination of the ear, the wax is there. You can use some paraffin materials or to remove the wax. So, it will come. So, you should ask the patient not to put any threads or any pointers or any needles into the ear because the tympanic membrane is so delicate. Once it is damaged, deafness will come. So repair is very difficult and it does not replace. It does not replace. So it does not replace. So original tympanic membrane, if lost, it will not be replaced except by some durameter or is replaced there to provide like a tympanic membrane, but it is not up to the mark. So you should advise your patients not to put fingers and not to. సో కామన్ గా నేను చెప్తున్నాను చాలా మంది పల్లెటూరులో ఏం చేస్తుంటారంటే కోడి వెంట్రుకలు పెట్టుకొని చెవులు తిప్పుకుంటుంటారు. దట్ లీడ్స్ టు definitely rupture of tympanic membrane. That leads to definitely rupture of tympanic membrane. The tympanic membrane is a so delicate one, but it is also a tough one. But a continuous exposure to the exposure of tympanic membrane to pressures by putting needles or codeventricular or something and something will damage the tympanic membrane and permanent deafness will occur. But a patient gets feeling of happiness by doing such things because the vestibulocochlear nerve impulses goes to the vestibulocochlear nerve and you will produce certain symptoms in the certain happy symptoms in the brain. So the patients are continuously doing probing the ear. That is another thing. So another thing is that if you pour some water into the ear cavity, so it will touch the tympanic membrane. So it has got effect to slow down the heart rate because vagus nerve is connected. Vagus nerve is connected to the heart. You do something in the ear, so heart rate will be slower. So clinical anatomy. Now probing, wax in the ear, pain in the ear, earache, multiple causes, acoustic neuroma, sign compression of the seventh nerve and eighth nerve, both nerve symptoms occurs. And melanocytes are responsible for production of endolymph. If the melanocyte deficiency or disease is there, for example, albinism, proper production of endolymph is not there, that leads to deafness. These are all the clinical aspects. So ear is nothing but an engineering marvel. Ear is an engineering marvel. How the sound waves coming from the external ear, entering into the middle ear, and touching the tympanic membrane, touching the malleus, touching the incus, touching the foot plate stapes, and going through the foot plate of stapes, touching the lateral wall of the vestibule through fenestra vestibuli, and producing vibrations in the endolymph present. So the endolymph vibrations touches the specialized epithelial cells present in the end organ of hearing, that is organ of Corti, and producing vibrations. They are going to the vestibular nerve, the cochlear nerve. So that is the gross mechanism of hearing in applied anatomy, the internal ear. Actually, this is the class of Nagabhushan sir. He appliedly I came here. And thank you very much for your patient learning. So, for your benefit, I am sending the external ear, middle ear, and inner ear PowerPoint presentations. My dear students, once again, I am telling you, I am warning you, you please regularly attend the class because here attendance is noted. University is noting the attendance. So, university is noting the attendance. Your attendance is going directly to the university authorities. So, you please come to the class and attend the class to see the PowerPoint. Thank you very much. Thank you once again. Okay, goodbye.